Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome. We are so happy to have you here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from USA Global TV and Radio, and of course from myself, Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. Our show today is the United Kingdom News and Culture, episode 94. I first want to start off by saying happy Thanksgiving, which is taking place here in the States tomorrow. I know personally I have so much to be grateful for, and I want to specifically say thank you to each and every viewer across the world who continues to enjoy our programming and share that with us. We truly do appreciate you. Okay, let's get started with the show. First of all, DIANN Floyd-Boehm and HELENA have the day off today, but don't worry, we have a fabulous episode for you. Joining me is Mr. Simon MacDonald, our expert correspondent, as well as one of our team members on location, Mr. Philip Sykes. Let's start off with Simon MacDonald. Welcome to the program, sir. Hello.
Hello. Lovely to see you again, Dr. JACALYN, and happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody who's out there from America who's watching as well.
Thank you so much, Simon. And thank you, my Thanksgiving to you for dedicating your time, your energy, your efforts to be here and share every week. I know it takes a concerted amount of effort and work, and I really do appreciate you. You have an extensive career in television as a presenter, a celebrity chef, and adding to everything that you know about the fisheries. I've been thinking about you so often with what I've been reading about salmon. You are also an author, a rhyme and time. Let's hear more about that, and we'll bring out our special guest.
Just happened to have a copy to hand. Yes.
Right.
No, it's only been really launched for about for a week, 10 days now. And the feedback I'm getting is it's incredible. I mean, it's, getting emails and messages coming in all the time. People have bought it, and lovely people have bought multiple copies for presents for their grandchildren and for their children and for themselves, for that matter. It's just absolutely bowled over with the whole reception I've got. People are even sending me in videos of their kids receiving birthday presents of the book as well. So yeah, it's been a great learning curve for me as well. I mean, this is something entirely new for me to do, and I've actually found it great escapism as well from the daily job. So yeah, thoroughly enjoying it all. I'm very grateful to those who've gone on to the likes of Amazon and all the other platforms that are selling it and have bought the copies and asked me to do another one. Oh, as if I haven't got enough to do just now, but I'm enjoying it.
Well, Simon, I'm truly happy for you. I know that feeling when the package comes in the mail and you open up, you're like, I can't believe it. I've got my copy right here. And then people are reaching out to you and saying how it's changing their lives. And you see the kids reading the books. It's fantastic. So keep up the excellent work. And we'll look forward to that second, maybe third. Before you know it, you could have 10 books out there. You might retire from everything else you're doing.
Well, there is another one on the way, that definitely, because I'm sort of bowing to pressure for this one. But I've also got another one as well, which is under wraps at the moment, which is vastly different to this one. But all will be revealed.
Well, we look forward to hearing about it. And for those who don't know, you were just on the Corner Bookstore, and people can go and see that interview over on our YouTube channel, USA Global TV and Radio. And I know, Simon, you're going to be reporting on the QE2 in a few minutes. But before then, we have a very dear friend who has his own show here, The Power of Etiquette and Manners. He and I believe, are going to be doing a book together very soon. And he's on location at a business expo. Let's find out where he is and what's going on. Mr. Philip Sykes, the founder and principal of the British School of Excellence. Welcome. Hello.
Hello, Simon. Lovely to see you as always. I tell you, your whole face lit up when you shared that book. I really, that was wonderful, and so much joy out of that, and it's wonderful. And Dr. JACALYN, as always, you're looking lovely and beautiful, sort of red, and fantastic. And yes, I'm on location at the London Excel Exhibition Centre, which is a vast mammoth of a building built out near Canary Wharf, the Docklands, and we have dipped our toe, or big foot, should I say, into exhibiting at the London Business Show 2023. I'm here with my wonderful colleague and friend, Anthony Willoughby, who is sharing his journey into his territory mapping, and the British School of Excellence and the Nomadic School of Business have come together to deliver some amazing material on the mapping journey, giving people those quintessential tools on how to sort of map out their lives and see where they're going and what hurdles they have to sort of jump over, who are they keeping around their fireplaces, and what mountains they have to climb, what swamps they have to go through, and what bridges they have to sort of cross, which rivers and that sort of thing. So the two of us are on the stand, and we've had a good flow of foot traffic, a few tire kickers, as you always get, a few people looking for free giveaways, but some of the conversations we've had have been fantastic. There are well over 1,000 exhibitors here today in the different halls, and we're in the learning and development section. So yeah, it's a great opportunity. It's something we've never done as an organization. And I truly believe, as I said to you backstage, Dr. JACALYN, that sometimes in life, not sometimes, in life, you've got to put yourself out there. And we're exposing ourselves to a whole different world at this expo. People who may never, ever come across us, or may never come across us in the very near future. So it's fascinating to make this a connection. And not only that, rubbing shoulders with like-minded businesses and looking if there are any opportunities to connect and collaborate.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Philip. Simon and I just have a few questions for you. I know how busy you are there. So what would you like people who are not in attendance at the trade show right now, what would you like them to know about the services and the value that you and the British School of Excellence provide?
Well, as you well know, Dr. JACALYN, one of our strap lines is building confidence, changing lives. How do we do that? We do that through delivering incredible tools and skill sets in the power of etiquette and manners and your emotional intelligence, helping you build and grow your emotional intelligence. And then it's a lot deeper than that. We go into many, many areas: body language, presentation skills, interview skills and techniques. We go into how do you enter a room with confidence? How are you showing up every single day? Are you being better than yesterday? Because we at the British School of Excellence truly believe that incorporating good etiquette and good manners along with your building your emotional intelligence, it's almost near impossible to put your foot off center. In other words, not be able to put your best foot forward. So at the British School of Excellence, we work with children, we work with teenagers, we work with adults. We have the most wonderful opportunity to connect with the most incredible people globally. And one of our flagship programs is our Train the Trainer. And we feature our Train the Trainer students here on USA Global TV on a regular basis. And it is something that every time the door opens, we are amazed at the quality and the level of people that are walking through the door. So the website's been actually slowly being revamped and upgraded piecemeal at the moment. We don't want to suddenly just launch a brand new site. So slowly behind the scenes, we're developing new material, new programs. There are going to be a couple of free masterclasses that people can join in the very near future. One of them is a masterclass on 6 core skills that we require for life and going forward. We're going to give a masterclass on the polished professional, and then a masterclass when it comes to being a high performance person when you come to it'll be all about high performance coaching. So there are lots of things in the pipeline. And then next year, mark your diary for those of you out there listening and you want to come to London and join us on our wonderful London excursion and tour. And prior to that, we're going to do our first in-person Train the Trainer off the back of COVID. And that's going to be the week before the London experience. So many things to look at on our site. And we are hugely passionate about giving people the skill sets they require and deserve to be able to put their best foot forward.
Thank you, Phil. We're going to go over to Simon in just a moment, but I happen to notice on your site, Territory Mapping Masterclass, and I know that Anthony Wilby is there with you. Can you tell us a little bit about this and what can people expect by signing up and completing this course?
Yeah, this course is going to be phenomenal. About 2 weeks ago, Dutson and Anthony delivered a masterclass to a wonderful array of people globally with the offer of taking on this course, which is coming up Saturday week. And it's going to be a full day. It's a CPD accredited course first for starters. And it's going to give you the tools and the skill set on how to develop and build your own map, but not only that, on how to take these tools and deliver this coaching and training to people, whoever you would like to deliver it to, whatever age group. But the territory mapping is absolutely fascinating. And it's something that I love that Anthony says, we need to go through life with huge substance and zero arrogance. And this mapping really will give you the most wonderful foundation and grounding. And not only that, Anthony's also offering a few places to go with him in December into Kenya to sit with the Masai Mara and sit around the fire and dig even deeper into the journey of territorial mapping.
That's incredible. And having had Anthony on here a few times, his passion for what he does and his background, his experience, it's extensive. Simon, what questions or comments do you have for Philip?
Oh, I mean, Philip, what you're doing there, I know at London Excel, it is quite a vast place. I've been to a few boat shows there and the like. I've done all the London exhibition places from Excel to Earl's Court and Olympia, which is getting slightly dated now, but it's still a fabulous venue. I used to actually give crash courses in how to make an exhibition of yourself to would-be exhibitors going along, particularly the first timers as well. And the etiquette around an exhibition as well is actually very important to follow the right thing to get the maximum effect out of it. And an exhibition is never just a 3-day thing. It's at least a 3 to 6 month thing as well, with the build up before, the press releases going out to raise your profile, because you're in that huge building with a sort of 3 meter by 4 meter or 3 meter by 3 meter stand, some have even less, and you're in amongst 1,000 other people. So you've got to rise above the lot of them, and that's a lot of the fun of it as well. And then it's the follow on afterwards as well, to make what you've done face to face really translate into generating further business as well. It's a very exciting world, the world of exhibitions, and a great place to literally make an exhibition of yourself.
Absolutely. Well, I have to say, without blowing my own trumpet, I've had some wonderful compliments on my choice of blazer, and I've had some fascinating conversations just because people have walked past and seen a very sort of warm, open body language with a nice, welcoming smile and beautiful energy emitting. So it definitely draws people toward you. And you're so right. I love that idea, Simon. And I think you're so well placed in your beautiful dress sense to definitely stand out for the right reasons rather than the wrong reasons. So giving people that guidance, I'm sure you were not finding it too difficult to do so.
Oh no! I mean, exhibitions are good fun. They are tiring. The floors in these exhibition halls are totally unforgiving. But and I hate to go past the stand and see somebody making the fatal mistake by sitting down with their nose on their phone. It's just the biggest turn off ever, and so on. But keeping that smile fixed in your face, from the minute you go in the morning to the minute you crawl out of there in the evening, it's it's a tough one. You know, those 3 days you do about 3 months of physical work.
Without a doubt. I'll share with you behind the scenes what later today, see how many steps I've done, and because I've been literally going since 6 a.m. this morning, and I can honestly tell you the only seat I had was in the motor vehicle, bringing me to the XL with all my kit and equipment. But since then, there hasn't been a moment's respite. But that's part of the course, and you've got to keep moving. You've got to keep going.
Absolutely.
So true. I have a quick story to share. Before I left my corporate career, I sold meetings and events. So there were a number of events that I went on, of course, national sales meetings and conferences. And I remember the first one I went on was in Chicago. I had on this beautiful blue suit, and I had on these giant, why I don't know, these giant blue patent leather shoes. And they were probably 5 inches. And just to get from the hotel to the convention space, you know, I thought, well, this is going to be challenging. And probably an hour into it, I just started crying. I said, I just can't do it. Like, you literally can't do it. Your feet just lock up, and you're like this the whole time. You go back to your room, you're like, hello. Anyway, I did that for a lot of my career, but I realized you had to wear very comfortable shoes. That's the key.
And by the end of the show, every time you open your mouth and there's no sound comes out, you know, the voice sort of goes, but you've got to force it on. But that smile must remain there the whole time. And
Absolutely.
Head up. And, you know,
Philip, a question I have for you when it comes to etiquette and manners, we can discuss this more because I know you have to get back to the booth, but there's so many times people come up to the booth and they're all excited, and you're getting to them, you know, there's 2 of you there, 3, however many, and then they just pick up some of your material and then they walk away. And I was sharing with you backstage, I had my books out on display, and people just picked up my books, some 2, 3 handful, while I'm talking to someone, and they just took the books and left. And so what do you have to share with people about etiquette and manners about attending a trade show?
I think you need to go there with connecting with people in mind, not to look for the freebies. And with all due respect, there are so many people that are just kicking tires at the show. They really are. They've got either too much time on their hands, they're mooching around, but oh my word, you look at their hands and they've got 4 different Hessian sack bags, and they've got various different pens. And I mean, I actually stopped someone from taking one of our beautiful pens today. I said, sir, they're not just giveaways. They are for people who are connecting with us and are interested in what we have to offer. Because otherwise you could actually be bankrupt, with all due respect. I mean, that's obviously tongue in cheek, but at the end of the day, there is etiquette and manners that are required. And if you are interested in a stand and you go up there and you engage in conversation and they hand out a few little goodies and items, then that's fantastic. But it's not a free for all. It's not a free shopping spree, which it looks like a lot of people out there are sort of adopting that approach and attitude. I think one of the other things with this journey as well is it's quite interesting. 1 or 2 people have approached me, and one gentleman said, I focus on branding. And I was quite shocked because he was dressed so poorly. And I thought, you're not omitting your brand. There's no way I would be drawn to the fact that you tell me you're in the world of branding, as in branding, giving people the tools to brand themselves and put their best foot forward. And that, you know, it's just interesting. I think with these sort of shows, going back to what Simon says, you know, there's a way you dress. You're going to a show, you want to stand out as a person walking around as well. You want to be able to show up looking the part, and you're seeing way before you're heard. We know that in life. So walk up to a stand, you're going to be judged, and we judge people quickly. And I emphasize through our program, we shouldn't judge people, but the old part of our brain, deep, 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 and then someone coming up there with an old fleece, it's got a bit of his lunch on it, and, you know, a matted hairdo and stuff like that. And you're going, okay, hello. And you still greet them with warmth and openness. But that first impression is going to be a very strong, lasting impression. So on both sides of the coin, when you're exhibiting, you've got to make sure your breath smells nice. You've got to make sure you've got a good body odor. You've got to make sure that you are holding your posture all day. Because as Simon said, you know, when you've been at a show, and Dr. JACALYN, you walked around those high heels. I took mine off earlier. I couldn't be in them anymore. I had to get rid of my high heels, Dr. JACALYN. I moved to my pumps and my flats. And I tell you something, it's about planning and preparation.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to salute both of you because you were always so well dressed. You were both role models for gentlemen. And a question I have, and then I promise we'll let you go, Philip, and Simon, you'll get to the QE too. When you're attending a trade show, I always have questions about this, and Philip, you and I have discussed it a few times, but should you dress, you can dress in a very proper way, but have something so that you stand out. Maybe you have a yellow hat, you have yellow glasses. I don't know about wearing a hat and sunglasses inside, but I've seen people do it, where you have a purple shirt and you've got purple, I don't know, something, nail polish. I don't know. What is your thought about standing out even though you're dressed in a certain way?
I think it's important. Stand out for the right reasons. And again, if you can draw attention to yourself, make yourself memorable, do it. I mean, do it with finesse and style. You don't want to look like you've just torn down a pair of curtains and wrapped yourself in something that looks bright and you might think you'll stand out. Well, you will stand out, but for the wrong reasons. I think always have a little bit of a statement, have a little bit of a signature. It could be a beautiful brooch that draws someone's attention. As you said, maybe it's a style of a hat or a pair of normal reading glasses with bright rims or whatever it might be. I think it really makes a huge sort of impression on people. People are like always inquisitive. They always look at people with some sort of, wow, I'd love to find out who that person is, or go and have a chat to that person. And you will make yourself memorable. You might forget names, but often you'll say, oh, have you seen the lady in the most beautiful blue chiffon X1Z coat over there? She is stunning and she's so mesmerizing and funny. That is how you want to be remembered. Excellen't.
Thank you. Simon, what would you like to add?
Absolutely. I mean, last year I was at the Boston Seafood Expo and also in Barcelona at the Global Seafood Expo on the Scottish Pavilion. Now, the Scottish Pavilion was vast and there were probably about 60 or 70 people on all the different stands. I was the only one wearing a kilt. Guess where the business went? Straight here. That kilt, it stood out a mile. And also a great tip as well, when you're doing a show, you do sort of 2-3 hours on and then take half an hour, 3/4 of an hour off and walk around the rest of the exhibition hall, stretch the legs, get the circulation going. Dressed in a kilt, it just brought them all flocking straight to the Scottish Pavilion. They suddenly thought, wow, just look at this guy. And they were stopping, they were wanting photographs of me in the kilt beside them. Dr. JACALYN was using the photograph for quite a while as well from Boston. But, that's a great advantage of where I live, being Scottish and living in Scotland and so on. I can take that advert out with me just by the way I dress. So important. And I couldn't believe it that all the people, 50, 60 people on the pavilion, I was the only one wearing a kilt. Unbelievable.
Amazing.
Philip, do you own a kilt?
Actually, I don't. There is a kilt. There is a tartan that the family has. My mum's from a Scottish side, no relating to Tony Blair, but it's the Blair family. And I think if I did some digging and diving, I could definitely find out what the tartan is, what the cloth looks like, and maybe one day I will get one made.
Fantastic. I look forward to that. Well, Philip, thank you so much for taking time away from the expo to join us. What would you like to leave our audience with today?
Just to embrace what Simon's going to share with you with the QE2. It's a fascinating history and journey. And just, I know we're going to be talking QE2, but just talking about the Titanic that obviously is no longer. It was fascinating, going back into that era. There was the formalities around the cruise ship was just extraordinary. And I'll never forget, there's a wonderful scenario and scene as charming as DiCaprio is in the Titanic. There's a beautiful scene at the dining room table where he does not have a clue which item of cutlery to use, and you could see he was squirming and think, but he was a quick learner, so he was very sharp at following suit and following what other people were doing. But I know you're all in for a huge treat with QE2. There's so much history around the QE2. I'd just love to leave you all with one thing, and that is stay tuned to USA Global TV and radio, because this platform is growing. It's got the most wonderful content, and you can really, really take yourself on such a wonderful journey and educate yourself in so many ways. And just stay tuned, because this organization that Dr. JACALYN has founded is going places. And I want to thank you for the opportunity. And Simon, what a joy to see you. It was a big surprise.
It's lovely to see you again, Philip, as well. We will meet again.
Definitely. Definitely.
Thank you
Dr.
so much,
JACALYN.
Philip. Thank you. I really
And
appreciate you. And we'll see you Friday, correct?
yeah, that's the idea. Absolutely. And happy Thanksgiving to all those wonderful people out there in the world, wherever you are and wherever you're celebrating it. Embrace it. Be kind to one another. Take care of one another and show utmost respect to the people who have a lot less than you in life.
Absolutely, will do. Thank you so much for those powerful words. And thank you again for your time. We look forward to seeing you on Friday, and have a successful show.
Thank you so much. Best wishes to both of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
So lovely to see him, wasn't it, Simon?
That's a treat to see him. I mean, Philip is an exceptionally nice person as well, and
He's a good man.
you know, he's been places and he's going places as well. With you know, he carries it off so perfectly, and you know, and manners and etiquette nowadays, it's almost a lost art. So sadly, that you know, it's worth carrying through. It really is every time. Wonderful.
You know, what's so nice to see is that, and I've mentioned this before, but we have interviewed a number of the graduates of his Train the Trainer program, and these people come from all walks of life, from all around the world, and what they have accomplished as a result of graduating from his program is incredible. I'm following most of them on the social media platforms, and I just love what they're doing with the education that they've gotten from Philip and the British School of Excellence. So thank you again, Philip, and everybody there at the British School of Excellence. Simon, over to you. We can't wait any more to hear about the QE2, and we have a number of photographs, so please take it away.
Oh, well, right. Well, with this last few weeks, we've had, you know, a lengthy series covering John Brown's shipyard, which has been the birthplace to many of our great ships. And John Brown Shipyard in Scotland on the River Clyde, based at Clydebank, where in actual fact the town of Clydebank gained its name from the John Brown Shipyard. Its predecessor was Clydebank Shipbuilders, so the town was named after it. And the ships which he's done there, I mean, we've covered the Royal Yacht Britannia, we've covered the Queen Mary, last week we covered HMS Hood, just an incredible battleship and her tragic story. So there are many famous ships that come from that yard. But today I'm going to talk about what is probably the most iconic of all the ocean liners to come off the John Brown slipway. And certainly, you know, she was very radical in design in her day, and rather like Concorde, actually still is quite a radical design, even though she's now residing as a hotel in Dubai. Lucky girl, she's got some nice sunshine permanently there. I could have done with some of that today. But just as a sort of brief overview to start with, the Queen Elizabeth II, and the way it's been written on the ship is Queen Elizabeth, and the numeral 2 as opposed to the Roman numerals of 2. And Queen Elizabeth is written in upper and lower case. Normally on a ship, the writing is all in capitals. So, you know, next time you look at the back side or the front side of a ship, you will see what I mean there by the you know, all capitals and Roman numerals. But Queen Elizabeth II, well, she served as Cunard's flagship from 1969 until she was succeeded by the Queen Mary II in 2004. And she was built in Clydebank, as I'd mentioned, at Scotland at John Brown Shipyard. And at that time, she didn't have her name when she was first on the slipway. Hull number 736. All ships had a hull number, and that was it until the launch. Then the name was made official. So she was considered to be the last of the transatlantic ocean liners until Project Genesis was announced by Cunard in 1995. Now, Project Genesis was intended to create new life in the ocean liner saga, and in 1998, Cunard revealed the name Queen Mary II. Now, Queen Elizabeth II, or QE2 as she's affectionately known, was refitted with a modern diesel engine after her steam turbines in 1986-87. And she undertook then regular world cruises during almost 40 years of service. So QE2 continued the Cunard tradition of regular scheduled transatlantic crossings every year of her service life. And the QE2, well, she was retired from active Cunard service on the 27th of November in 2008. And she's been acquired by the private equity arm of the Dubai World, which planned to begin conversion of the vessel to a 500-room floating hotel moored at Palm Jumeirah in Dubai. The 2008 financial crisis intervened, however, and the ship was laid up at Dubai dry docks and later at Mina Rashid. In March 2017, a Dubai-based construction company announced that it had to be contracted to refurbish the ship, and the restored QE2 opened to visitors on the 18th of April 2018. So where did it all begin? Well, Cunard decided on a replacement queen with more flexible design, and realizing the decline of transatlantic trade, it was visualized that it should be three-class, first cabin and tourist classes, and dual-purpose ship operating for 8 months of the year on the transatlantic route. During the winter months, would operate as a cruise ship in warmer climates. And compared to the older queens, which had 2 engine rooms and 4 propellers, the newly designated Q4, as she was known then, would be smaller, with 1 boiler room, 1 engine room, and 2 propellers, which, combined with automation, would allow for a smaller engineering complement of crew. So despite producing 110,000 shaft horsepower, the new ship was to have the same service speed of 28.5 knots as the 2 previous queens. Now this would require an engine output of 160,000 shaft horsepower compared to the older queens who had 200,000 shaft horsepower. So whilst fuel consumption would have been halved to 520 tons per 24 hours, that's still a lot of fuel. This was expected to save £1 million a year in fuel bills alone. So Q4 would also be able to transit the Panama Canal and the Suez Canals, and with having a shallower draft of 32 feet, which was actually 7 feet less than our predecessors, and which would allow her to enter other ports that the other queens and the old queens could not. The interior and superstructure of the QE2 was designed by James Gardner. His design for the ocean liner was described by the Council of Industrial Design as that of a very big yacht, and with the look of, well, she was sleek and modern and purposeful. Well, the characteristics. At the time of retirement, the ship had a gross tonnage of 70,327 tons. She was 963 feet long, and the QE2 had a top speed of 32.5 knots with her original steam turbines, which was increased to 34 knots when the vessel was re-engined with the diesel-electric power plant. The hull was of welded construction, which avoided the weight penalty of over 10 million rivets that should otherwise have had to have been used, and overlapped steel plates compared with the previous queens. And unlike the 2 previous ships, the QE2 had a bulbous bow. Modern ships now, if you look down at the bow, there's always this big bulbous part at the front there, which actually creates much more energy efficiency going through the water. It seems strange having a sort of solid thing there to go through the water rather than a sleek, sharp bow, but it does work. So like the Normandy and the France, QE2 had a flared stem and a clean forecastle. What was controversial at the time was that Cunard decided not to paint the funnel with the line's distinctive colour and pattern, which is something that had been done on all their merchant vessels that they owned since the first Cunard ship, which was the RMS Britannia, which sailed in 1840. Instead, the funnel, it was painted white and black, and with the Cunard orange-red appearing only on the inside of the windscoop at the foot of the funnel. Now, this was changed in 1983 when the QE returned from service in the Falklands War, and the funnel was repainted in the Cunard colours of orange and black with black horizontal bands, which are known as hands. And the original pencil-like funnel was rebuilt in 1986 as an enlarged version using metal from the original when the ship was converted from steam to diesel power. Large quantities of aluminium were used in the QE2 superstructure. This was designed, obviously, to save weight and reducing the draft of the ship, and therefore lowering the fuel consumption. But the problem there is the low melting point of aluminium caused a lot of concern when the QE2 was serving as a troop ship during the Falklands War. Some feared that if the ship were struck by a missile, her upper decks would collapse quickly due to fire, thereby causing a far greater number of casualties. Fortunately, she didn't suffer anything like that at all, and she returned just as sparkling as she was when she went out, but slightly less comfortable than she would be in her cruising days. In 1972, the first penthouse suites were added in an aluminium structure on the signal deck and the sun deck behind the ship's bridge. And in 1977, this structure was then expanded to include more suites with balconies, making the QE2 one of the first ships to offer private terraces to passengers since the Normandy in the 1930s. Over the span of her 39-year seagoing career, Queen Elizabeth II received a number of interior refits and alterations. The year she came into service, 1969, was also the year of the Apollo 11 mission, and when Concorde's prototype was unveiled for the first time. So in keeping with those times, originally Cunard broke from the traditional interiors of the previous liners for the QE2, especially the Art Deco style of the previous Queens. Instead, modern materials like decorative laminates and aluminium and perspex were used, and 60s and 70s design and style had arrived. The public rooms featured glass, stainless steel, dark carpeting, and sea green leather. Furniture was modular, and abstract art was used throughout the public rooms and cabins. Dennis Lennon was responsible for coordinating the interior design, and his team included John Bannerberg and Gabby Schreiber. And although Lennon's original designs only remained intact for the 3 years, as she was gradually altered and modified as time went on. The midship lobby on the two-deck, where first-class passengers boarded for transatlantic journeys and all passengers boarded there for cruises, was a circular room with a sunken seating area in the center with green leather-clad banquettes and surrounded by chrome railing. As a kingpin to this was a flared white trumpet-shaped uplit column. Another room designed by Michael Inchbald, where the QE2's advanced interior design was demonstrated, was the first-class lounge, the Queen's room and the quarterdeck as well. And this space, in colours of white and tan, featured a lowered ceiling with large indirectly lit slots, which, despite reducing the ceiling height, created an impression of airy openness above to deal with the otherwise oppressive dimensions of the single-story room. And it was actually quite low ceilings in that particular room. In addition, the structural columns were flared at the top to blend into the ceiling, and that sort of had the effect of losing the visual indication of low ceiling height that straight columns would have given instead. So Inchbald repeated the flaring of the columns in the bases of his tables and the leather shell chairs. Indirect lighting from above could be switched to a cool hue in the summer and to a warmer hue in the winter. The theatre bar on the upper deck featured red chairs, red drapes, a red egg crate fiberglass screen, and even a red baby grand piano. So definitely in the red there. That some more traditional materials like wood veneer were of course used as highlights throughout the ship, especially in the passenger corridors and staterooms. There was also an observation bar on the quarterdeck, a successor to its namesake, located in a similar location on both previous Queens, which offered views through large windows over the ship's bow. This room was lost in the QE2 1972 refit, becoming galley space, with the forward-facing windows were then plated over. So in 1994 refit, almost all the remaining original decor was replaced, with Cunard opting to reverse the original design direction of QE2's designers and use the line's traditional ocean liners as an inspiration. The green velvet and the leather midships bar became the Art Deco-inspired chart room, receiving an original custom-designed piano from the Queen Mary, and a beautiful piano that was as well. I've seen this piano, stunning. The designers included numerous pieces of artwork within the public rooms of the ship, as well as maritime artifacts drawn from Cunard's long history of operating merchant vessels. Althea Wynn's sculpture of the white horses of the Atlantic Ocean was installed in the Mauritania restaurant, 2 bronze busts were installed, one of Sir Samuel Cunard outside the Yacht Club and one of Queen Elizabeth II in the Queen's Room. And 4 life-size statues created by sculptor Janine Janet in marine materials like shell and coral, representing the 4 elements, were installed in the Princess Grill. Midships lobby has a solid silver model of the Queen Elizabeth II, which was made by Asprey's in Bond Street in 1975, which was lost, unfortunately, until a photograph was found in 1997, which led to the discovery of the model itself. And it was placed on the Queen Elizabeth II in 1999. 3 custom-designed tapestries were commissioned from Helena for the ship's launch, depicting the Queen as well as the launch of the ship. And these tapestries were originally hung on the quarterdeck D stairway outside the Columbia restaurant. And they were originally made with gold threads, but sadly much of this was actually lost when they were incorrectly cleaned during the 1987 refit. I should think a few heads would have probably rolled for that one. Anyway, the ship also housed items from previous Cunard ships, both a brass relief plaque with a fish motif from the first RMS Mauritania of 1906, and an Art Deco bas relief titled Winged Horse and Clouds by Norman Foster from the RMS Queen Elizabeth, which was her namesake predecessor. That Queen Elizabeth was named after, well, the Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, as opposed to our late monarch. And one of the key pieces was a replica of the figurehead of Cunard's first ship, RMS Britannia, which is carved from Quebec yellow pine by a Cornish sculptor, Charles Moore, and presented to the ship by Lloyd's of London. Of course, Lloyd's of London are the big shipping insurers. The QE2 had her share of unexpected excitement when, April 1972, she sailed into a hurricane and was forced to heave to for 21 and a half hours. Now, in that, she tried to turn back, but then she rolled alarmingly over to 42 degrees, which is less than 1 degree to the critical point where she would be of no return. So that would have been a titanic loss, I think would be the appropriate term, if the QE2 had succumbed to this storm. But the wave heights were reported to be in excess of 50 feet. So it caused a lot of problem. There were first-class passengers were dining in the dining room at the time when she took this great roll, and seas actually broke through the windows there and caused caused a bit of bother, shall we say. And also in the same year, on May the 17th, then the QE2 received a bomb threat with a ransom request for $350,000. Well, this caused obvious, big issues, not knowing quite what to do. What do we, panic stations. So they called ashore to the Ministry of Defence to discuss this, and Captain Robert Hackon Williams was immediately dispatched, along with 2 other people. They were flown out by a Hercules plane and parachuted off into the sea to be picked up by a launch to go aboard the QE2 to try and sort out, is this a genuine threat or what? And if it was, then they've got to disarm it. Captain Robert Williams was quite a flamboyant character in his own right. This was the first time he'd ever had a parachute jump, and apparently hit the sea pretty hard. So that's it. So they fished him out, they brought him aboard, and in James Bond-like style, he ran up to the bridge and presented the captain of the ship with that particular day's copy of the Telegraph, which he produced from out the inside of his wetsuit. So it was completely folded and dry. So that was it. It was created a little bit of hilarity there. But they searched the ship from stem to stern. The passengers were informed. Of course, they were obviously a bit concerned about it all, quite naturally. But they searched stem to stern. All they could find, there was one suitcase which they carried out a controlled explosion on. And when it opened up, it just spilled a lot of dirty washing and a few books. and that was the end of that one. So she carried on her way then as well. So that is a brief pocket history of the QE2. She now resides in Dubai as a 500-bedroom hotel, and she's been restored quite sympathetically and converted into the hotel, and she does look quite sympathetically done. And it's just nice to see that she hasn't succumbed to the scrapyard, that the heritage lives on. It's just a pity she didn't come back to the Clyde, but there we go.
Wow, Simon, brilliant. Thank you. There's a lot of information in there that I was completely unaware of. The first being the fact that she's in Dubai and been there since 2008. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes. So, the decision was, is she going to be scrapped or not? Of course, she was shipped out to Dubai. She'd actually, on the way out there as well, one of the things that the QE2 had on board was a synagogue. And so they tactfully dismantled the synagogue before she arrived in Dubai, so it wouldn't cause any upset, shall we say, going into Muslim country. So that was it. Yes, she's. It is nice to see that she is there. As I say, it's just a pity she didn't come back to the Clyde. But Dubai is probably one of the most exciting cities in the world now. So it's she's there. She's got a home, which actually very nearly didn't happen because of the financial crisis. She lay in dry dock and she was getting into a pretty drastic state. So there we have it. But no, magnificent ship.
We have one of our show hosts is from Dubai.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, Katrina Valente. So she reports from there and always talks about the excitement as well as, what it's like if you're dating and you're single. So the question I have, so if you go to Dubai and you want to book an accommodation, does the ship actually go out or is it?
No, she's permanently berthed there now. Okay. Yes. So no, she's a permanent fixture, shall we say.
You know where to find her.
She's still afloat. But the size of that, you're not going to feel her rolling about. Certainly not to 42 degrees. That's for sure.
Well, thank you for that. We did show some pictures while you were speaking, but we have some others that we didn't show. So let's take a look. Okay, how about this one?
Yes, that was her going out to as a troop ship out to the Falkland Islands, and you can actually just see on the stern there near the curly wire. You can see a helicopter on the stern of the QE2. She had a helipad built, obviously to communicate, transport. And carry people backwards and forwards as well. She was also going to be fitted out as a hospital ship as well while she was stationed there. But she was a fast enough ship that there was no concern about submarine attacks on her. She's very, very quick, so she'd be able to avoid the bulk of that. It's the bombers that was the big worry for her.
It's just amazing a ship of that size could be fast. I love it. This is the QE2 last time in Sydney Harbor. Yes,
that's a farewell to Sydney. And of course, you notice the funnel from the previous photograph was the white funnel, whereas this one here, she's in the full Cunard colours with the black banded hands around it as well. I think that's just such a dramatic photograph, that with the Sydney Opera House there as well, and then the escort vessels coming out with her. Lovely photograph.
Very beautiful. How often does a ship like this need to be repainted? Is it regular? Is it paint or is it fiberglass? I don't even know what it is.
No, it's a paint job. I mean, they go into dry dock for regular fittings out and sprucing up. You can't very well do that in the middle of the Atlantic, so it's got to be done ashore. And of course, I mean, with any boat, the most important part of the paintwork is the stuff underneath the water as well, the anti-fouling paint, so that you don't get a build-up of weed and barnacles and so on, which would slow the vessel down considerably.
Fantastic. Yeah, that is a beautiful photograph. And here we have one last one.
Well, that one, I find that quite amusing. I mean, there's the Queen was aboard with Prince Philip, and they're being given the grand tour. And Prince Philip was looking down there, slightly bemused at the size of the ship's wheel. It's like the steering wheel in a toy car to steer a 900
It's amazing.
feet long ship. It almost sort of seems slightly superfluous. Nowadays, actually, a lot of the ships only have a wheel there, more or less purely for show, because they're run off little hydraulic tiller. It's which you can hold in your hand and twiddle left to right to make the ship go left to right. Technology has all changed quite dramatically. So it's almost a shame that she doesn't have a proper wheel, but there we go. It's it's not necessary in this day and age.
Well, let me ask you this. I was just watching a movie. I'm not going to say which one it was, but they had a sailboat in there, and there was a huge wheel, and that was the focus of this scene. So do sailboats still have the big wheel?
Some of them do, yes. A lot of the race boats do. I mean, on my own boat, I had my last yacht, actually had two wheels, one on the other side, and these wheels were about 5.5 feet in diameter. So you've got something you can get a proper grip on there. So yes, yachts and race yachts in particular do tend to have pretty big wheels nowadays.
So they don't have the kind of technology that a huge ship would have. Is that why?
No. Well, yachts don't tend to be done on hydraulic steering. I think the yachties prefer to have something they can grip in the hand.
Yeah.
It's like driving a car. If you're driving a car, it's not got a steering wheel, but it's got this little lever.
Right. I guess it's the same thing if they made a self-driving car. Whereas if you're somebody who loves driving, you want that wheel. Right?
Yes, absolutely. I think if it was in a self-driving car, I'd still want that wheel as well.
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we are actually at the end of our episode. It just flew by again. What would you like to close out with? I'd love to hear you read from your book, if you would.
Right. Well, I'd actually quite like to do the section of On This Day.
Okay, perfect. Yes.
And I think I've had a few people have been asking me, oh, this is great, keep this one up. So, well, on this day, in 1963, US President John F. Kennedy was assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald while riding in an open-top motorcade in Dallas, in Texas. And then in 1842, Mount St. Helens in Washington erupts. For birthdays and births, well, in 1943, Billie Jean King, the American tennis star, her birthday today, 79 years old. Happy birthday, Billie Jean King. And also 1958 was when Jamie Lee Curtis, who is now 64, the American actress, was born. The deaths, well, in this one actually is quite poignant to me. In 1773, Lord Robert Clive, better known as Clive of India, who was the Viceroy of India, explorer and founder, he died aged 49. Lord Clive of India, he was my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, so a bit of a family connection there. And then from 1993 and 1980, Mae West, the amazing actress, died at the age of 87. So there we have what happened today and what happened today.
That's from one end to the other. That's incredible.
It's one extreme to the other. I mean, there's a huge extreme. So,
well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. Some incredible days of history that people are still reviewing and analyzing. And then, of course, some wonderful birth dates and then some dates when people passed away after sharing so much. I would love to just go over to your website because you're sharing so much here. It's such a beautiful website. It just gives you a feeling of tranquility. And yet I love how the sky is moving. So right here we have author, television presenter, and after dinner speaker, Simon MacDonald. What do you want people to know about your website?
Well, just go to it. It's www.simon-macdonald.com. And there we have it. And we have a rhyme and time. And there's a connection there to the promotional video that Norns Triad Publications brought out for it as well. It's a lovely little video as well, and just brings in the character of the book and the characters within the book. And they're, oh goodness gracious, now I recognize that face.
Where were you when that picture was taken, Simon?
That I was actually a speech for a Burns supper. It was an after dinner speech I did in Cape Town in South Africa. So again, it was all kitted out in the kilt as well. That was a great fun night. We had it in presence of the president of South Africa there as well, who was sitting beside that evening. Quite a character. And yeah, it was a tremendous evening. There was, as traditionally goes with any Burns supper, there was a considerable amount of whiskey was consumed through the night, as well as the traditional haggis and all the rest of it as well.
Do you remember on what topic you were speaking?
Oh yes, the life and times of Robert Burns, who is the poet and bard. At New Year, we all sing Auld Lang Syne. All around the world, everybody sings Auld Lang Syne. Well, that was written by Robert Burns. Oh. So he was actually quite a prolific poet and writer, and quite lecherous chap as well. He had an eye for the ladies. Definitely had an eye for the ladies.
Fabulous. Well, please do go to Simon's website. Again, it's his name, Simon -, whichever you call it, MacDonald.
Yes, it's hyphen. It's not a dot. It's a dash.
No, dash.
Yes.
We call it dash. MacDonald.com. Well, Simon, I would love to have you come back on our Planet Earth show, because I've been reading so much about salmon with lice and all kinds of things that are going on. I saw you commented on someone's post, and as two people who love salmon, I'd love to get the scoop from you, the professional. So hopefully you'll come back and join us on Planet Earth, the Planet Earth show.
Yes, I need to come back down to earth first. Yes. Always on a high with your show, Dr. JACALYN. I love this show. It's great fun.
Well, that's a good thing. I'm glad that you're here. One final thing before we go. This is actually one of our team members, Kalinda Coverwell, and she does the energy show with me. And she actually purchased Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening, and she took this photograph. And Simon, can you tell us where she is?
That looks almost as if it's outside the Tower of London.
It's Windsor.
Is it Windsor? Oh,
it
right.
Is.
It's an unusual angle of Windsor. That Windsor Castle is just the most incredible building. The late Queen loved that building, and she, rather than Buckingham Palace, she preferred to be at Windsor. Amazing place. And that's, as well as Windsor, that's where the Duke of Edinburgh was, his funeral took place, and he's buried there in the crypt. William and Kate were married there. Were they? I think they were. Harry and Meghan were certainly married there as well. It's just such a magnificent building, and I will do. Oh, must be time. I will. Oh dear, there we are. I will do a piece on Windsor Castle at some time, because this is an area I've actually been quite fascinated this week, and I've been looking through all this, and I think I feel a series coming on seats of power. Because I've been reading about and researching into the history behind the White House, Buckingham Palace, Windsor, Palace of Versailles, and Westminster Palace, all these places. And yeah, there's some fascinating pieces come out of that as well. So next week, shall we be American and do the White House?
Okay, I love it. And thank you to Kalimba, maybe for inspiring you to do that next week. I don't know, or was there already. But we really appreciate everyone watching, whether it's on the live or the replay. Please do go over to our YouTube channel. Please do follow us on social media. You can go to Facebook, which is USA Global TV, or you can subscribe on our YouTube channel, USA Global TV. And if you'd like to be our guest, that's right, you can go over to where? USAGlobalTV.com/ book your session. Simon and I are thrilled that you were with us today. Thank you to Mr. Philip Sykes, and we will be back again next week. Stay tuned as we have global social entrepreneurs, followed by Royally Rich with Ian Pelham-Turner and Helena CHARD. We'll see y'all soon. Bye, everyone. Bye, Simon.
Bye. Bye, just now. Bye.